thanks so much for for the introduction, but also for inviting me to share my experiences with the Open Science Framework on this important day where we celebrate that the VU becomes an OSF institution. So congratulations with that. I'm not sure, but I think it's the first university within the Netherlands that actually becomes an official OSF institution. So I would like to learn more about how you did that, because I think it's important for other universities as well. So when I was asked to share my experiences with OSF, the first question that came to mind was, when did I actually first learn about OSF? And to be honest, I cannot remember when was the first time that someone told me OSF existed and that you could use it as a researcher. So then I thought, well, when did I first started using this platform? I also couldn't remember that. But what I did was I logged into my OSF account, and I found out that I created an account about 8 years ago, so in 2013. And as you can see, I've been using OSF for almost 50 projects since then, most of which are also publicly available. Now, these projects that are on my OSF account are not only research projects. So they're not only studies that I conducted and that I published about. And I will talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Because what I want to do in this short talk or presentation is focus on 3 activities that I mostly use OSF for. And these are to collaborate, to share, and to pre-register. And I thought I started out using OSF to collaborate with people on certain projects, but maybe that's not really true. I think maybe the first or the main reason for me to start using OSF was to store everything related to a certain research project in a structured way. So back then in 2013, I'm pretty sure I didn't use Google Drive. I wasn't aware of any cloud existing where I could store all my information. So I know that I used a Dropbox to share information with others. And besides that, I stored all my information on the computer, not even a laptop, but the computer that was in my office. So I wanted a place where I could store everything that was related to my research. So not only materials or data, but also, for example, papers that were of interest and that I wanted to store in that same space. So I think maybe that was the main reason for me starting out using OSF. And then, of course, when all the information is on OSF, and if you have a project that you work on with others, OSF is a very easy tool to use to collaborate, right? Your collaborators also create an OSF account, and then you make them a contributor to to your project, and then you can also regulate the access that they have. But let's say you give them all permissions, then they could also upload materials, upload papers. You can work within the same document. So collaborating with other researchers on a particular project is really easy. Now, I have to say that the structure of OSF is really flexible. And that's good because, as I mentioned, if you look for a tool that is discipline and research flow agnostic, then it's important that it is flexible so that you can tailor it to your own needs. And while I like that flexibility right now, I thought it was a little bit difficult in the beginning because you do not have like a clear structure. So that was something that I think is a benefit right now, but that I thought was hard in the beginning, because if you want to create your project, what does it look like? What kind of elements do you add to your project? And if you don't know that, yeah, that can be hard. So that's something that you need to learn by using it, I guess. Okay. So that's about collaborating. Then sharing. I think over the past years, I also started using OSF more as a way or as a platform to share information. I already talked about collaborating with others and sharing information within a certain research project, but OSF can also be used to share with other researchers that are not part of your project. It's really easy to share the data of your project, the materials, with people, well, with other researchers or with reviewers, for example. And what I also like to do, and what I like about OSF is that it's very easy to share your preprint. So there's a link, for example, with SciArchive that I use a lot and that I also helped establishing in the early days. Because SciArchive and OSF are linked, it's very easy to share the preprint of your projects through OSF. And I also use OSF to share my pre-registrations, for example. Let's see. And then the last thing I wanted to say here is, I already said that I don't only use OSF for research projects, but I also use it, for example, to share slides from symposia, for example. I use it for the network of communities where we upload all the materials that we have of sessions that we organize so that we can share that more easily. And I know that SIP, so the Society for the Improvement of Psychological Science, they also used OSF to share everything related to their conference. So that's a very hands-on conference that consists of a lot of hackathons. And they used OSF to create specific project pages for hackathon sessions. And it's very nice to have one place after a conference where you can find all the information that is relevant and all the stuff that was created. So it's also very nice to use it for other type of projects, yeah, on which you collaborate with others. Okay, let's see. Oh. Yeah, that brings me to my last activity, so pre-registration. After my initial fear of the OSF structure being so flexible, I now actually like it quite a lot, and I use it also for pre-registration. So I know that if you want to use OSF for pre-registration, there are a lot of different types of pre-registration that you can select. And what I do is I just create a project page, and then I provide or I upload all the information that is necessary for pre-registration. So the research question and the hypotheses, the method of your project, and how you will handle the data, for example. And then I just make a pre-registration out of all the information that is out there. You don't have to do any additional stuff if you just go with the default pre-data collection OSF registration. That's the one I used in the beginning. Maybe that was also the one that the only one there when they started out using pre-registrations. But now there are multiple options. And if you don't like this flexible way of registering your study, you can also opt for the as predicted way of pre-registration. So As predicted, there's a separate website where you just have to answer, I think, 9 questions about your research. And then those questions with your answers become your pre-registration. But you can also do that through OSF. So that's a way of structuring your pre-registration if you're new to it and if you're not very comfortable with the flexible structure of OSF. Okay, then some final thoughts. I very much like OSF because it's easy to use. If you are comfortable with the flexible structure, I like it because it's free and open. I like it because you can use it throughout your research cycle. So it's not only about sharing data once your paper is accepted, but you can use it from the beginning of a new project. I like it because everything is in one safe space. So for me, it's nice to know that that's the place where all my research stuff is stored. And I remember that a couple of years ago, there was a discussion about whether the use of OSF was safe because of the GDPR, but it's possible to store your materials and data outside of the US. So I always select Frankfurt in Germany, for example, as a place to store my information. And then the final thing is that there are a lot of add-ons. So if you use other platforms or tools as well, it's very easy to integrate those through OSF, apparently, because I have to say that I don't use these add-ons a lot. I just started out using Zotero. I saw there was an add-on for that on OSF as well. So I think I will need to dive into that to make my use of OSF even more easy and fun.